Rivalries reignited.
Historic heavyweights.
The spiciest of derbies.
New kids on the block.
The best leagues in the land are back.
Tom Hitchcock crashes, Tom Hitchcock goes, Tom Hitchcock scores! Leaving it all out there for the fans.
A steamroller has just charged through.
Dynasty, destiny, drama.
Your Women's National League Cup champions.
Future stars set to shine.
Bill Rigg, who's been on fire all season.
Champagne Rugby? Look no further.
To score one of the most memorable tries.
Durham University are BUCS Super Rugby League champions.
But the truth is, in this league, it's anyone's on the day.
And it's full time. It is 6 wins from 6 for Swansea.
Entertainment guaranteed.
Bullard through! Bullard wins it for Exeter in the death!
BUCS Super Rugby.
Women's National League.
BUCS Rugby is back. Well, fancy seeing you here. It's our favourite day of the week, and guess what? The secret's out about BUCS Super Rugby, because 4,000 fervent fans of the student variety down in deepest Devon have heard about the best league in the land, and we've got a whopper for you from a swinging Sandy Park. Well, welcome to the home of Exeter Chiefs, or I guess more accurately, on this crisp, dry October night, a perch on the hill of Sandy Park, the redoubt of the University of Exeter, who tonight are charged with defending against attackers from across the Severn Bridge in the form of table-topping Cardiff University. It's one of the biggest nights in EURC and BUCS's calendar, the Exeter Autumn Varsity. Well, the slightly partisan applause will tell you that the men in red, the table toppers of BUCS Super Rugby, the visitors have taken to the field. But I'm going to step back and let the crowd do the talking for the arrival of the green machine. Varsity night, Exeter's big night, the table toppers here to spoil the party. There can be only one man by my side for it. It is the Human University Rugby Encyclopedia, Harry Scott Munro. The place is jumping.
Thanks, Byrnesy. It's absolutely fantastic. Speaking of the encyclopedia, I'll get one out nice and early doors. By far the biggest crowd they've ever had for Term 1 Varsity here in Exeter, by just over 2,000. It's absolutely rocking. Like you said, Anglo-Welsh clash, full versus first, scores to settle. And if this is anything like that semi-final you and I did last season, I can't wait for the action on the field.
Well, 4,000 in Sandy Park, plenty more of you at home. The word is out, Austin Healy's probably tuning in. I think he's all about BUCS Super Rugby these days. And a very, very warm welcome to all the Cardiff fans who I know were so desperate to make a journey here. We'll look after you on the stream as we get underway. Top of the table, Cardiff University against the reigning BUCS Super Rugby Cup champions, Exeter. Well, Cardiff taking the sting out of the kick-off, taking their time. I know that in the preliminary chats before the game, Ollie Leatherbarrow was keen to kick to Cardiff. They wanted to put the pressure on the men in red from the toss. And you can see that pressure telling as a skewed exit gives Exeter an opportunity from the line early on the doorstep of the 22.
Really, really positive start there for Exeter. They'll be pleased with that. And Tom Cairns, Jinkin, Chester Ribbons straight through there on the carry. Exeter immediately on the front foot.
Well, there's the captain, Ollie Leatherbarrow. If you don't see him, you'll certainly hear him full of energy throughout every passage of play. Into Higginson. Started at 6 in the final last year. Very mobile second row who brings a lot of beef as well. Cairns feeding the big men. Wow, good defence from Cardiff at the moment. Exeter looking good, but meters hard to come by. Barton's out of the play, so Joseland steps in, and just a little chink of lights for the Exeter attack. Big men working in unison and bringing in De Bomber. But still, Harry, they're not breaking through this red wall.
Not yet. It's fantastic defence from Cardiff so far. Exeter really setting their stall out early, though. Archie Hill there with a first touch in at 13 this week. Tom Cairns there sniping Darcy. This is what we saw last week against Leeds Beckett. Really quick ingenuity in attack in the opening exchanges, and Matt Cortis there, a first touch. His first ever start on the wing for Exeter as well.
Well, Matt Cortis, his first action is mopping up the mess of an errant pass, and a big gap opens up, but the pass can't be found to Josh Barton, who's been in the tries so far. One away at Cardiff, Matt, a bit of solo magic from the boot, and we see him just shoveling it on to one of his big men on the shoulder. Again, good variety from Exeter, but still Cardiff standing firm. Lucas Dorrell in for Ross Vincent, making himself known to the Cardiff shoulders, and a double hit sees the ball squirt out. Well, this is mighty defence from Cardiff. No way through for the green and white hoops of Exeter so far. More tackles raining in. Barton out the back. Still they come, Cardiff. It's so impressive, but eventually a penalty, and Exeter will go with some tempo. They'll go running with Tom Cairns. 10 metres shy. One out to the wing debutant. Todd Mule in at halfback, formerly a second row, starting at tight head tonight. More on that as Leatherbarrow drives and powers to 5 metres out. Josh Barton's down in the backfield. That'll be a concern, but the main concern is capitalising on this pressure. Exeter cheered on, roared on.
Jared Williams there, a really good first carry for him, a club legend, 25th appearance today, and I don't think he'll mind me saying probably about 19-20 of them off the bench. But a penalty there for Cardiff, and a huge defensive set. Barton back up on his feet, but there's going to be some real concern there in that Exeter side about Josh Barton's fitness after that knock there in those opening moments.
Well, concern for Barton, but concern for Exeter as a whole as to how resolute that Cardiff defence was. You saw the reaction. They haven't rewarded themselves by finding touch. Barton back in the fray and back making a difference as Benji Joseland stretches his legs. Terrifyingly potent back three that Exeter possess, and a fumble from Archie Hill, who's stepping into the shoes of Dan John. The rather big boots and silky socks of Dan John, I'd add.
Definitely. Dan John, such an elusive runner, played at 13, played at 15, started at fullback actually the last couple of games. I think for Exeter, they'll be a little bit disappointed there that they've not capitalised. Cardiff, you talked about that resolute defence there, a really good set from them, forcing Exeter back. And actually, it's very similar to that women's match that we had earlier at the Crumb. Exeter starting at a rate of knots, but Cardiff, in this case, Durham earlier, holding firm, pushing them back in defence. And I think that's what we're going to see here this evening, is that battle of the ball running from Exeter. Cardiff when they get the opportunity, but it's which defence can come out on top.
Well, it's the Exeter men's varsity tonight, but it is also our first BUCS double-header of the season. And the women did their job, didn't they, up at the Crumb earlier. 31-7 victors over the reigning league champions Durham, who continue to struggle in transition. But Exeter enjoying themselves back in the dining at the top table of women's university rugby.
They really are. In fact, there's a whole gaggle of the first and second team right behind us in the stands, watching on, enjoying the experience here this evening. But it was a fantastic performance. Claire and I were talking about it. A really, really impressive second half, because Durham looked really threatening.
First sights of Cardiff in attack, and they find some easy meters through Oscar van der Venter, the fresher, who's really impressed since arriving, forming a great partnership with Luke Pollock, the captain. And looks like we'll be going to the skies. No, we won't. Yes, we will. Looked to be a box, but instead it's from the boot of Ed Dunford, and he finds a nice touch to put a bit of territorial pressure on Exeter.
It's a really, really clever kick, that, from Ed Dunford. I know it's the old standard of, if you're picking out a head-to-head, you pick out that fly-half battle, but Josh Barson back up on his feet, back in the game. Him and Ed Dunford, arguably two of the best ball-running 10s in BUCS Super Rugby. And I think whichever side comes out on top tonight, everything is going to come through which one of those fly halves gets themselves on the front foot.
I think it's no secret that Ed Dunford is absolutely integral to the fortunes of Cardiff, not just this evening, but across their campaign. Master's student, one of those old experienced heads returning, and we've seen in years gone by, we saw with Exeter last year what those master students can bring, not just in brawn, but just in that sort of ring craft around the field, and also negotiating what must be one of the most attritional league campaigns going around BUCS Super Rugby.
Oh, definitely so, and I think that's one of the things, especially with this Cardiff side this season. A number of people might have been a little bit surprised to see how they started, but you've only got to look at their form at the end of last season. The vast majority of this 23 were involved in BUCS Super Rugby last year, and as you just said, Burnsy, with those master students, it's all about that synergy and those connections. If you've played together for a couple of years, you're going to be much better prepared than other teams coming into the league, and Cardiff certainly have been.
Interesting showdown in the packs. Ollie Burrows, the hooker for Exeter, packing down against his Wales 20 prop buddies, Theo Bavakwa and Adam Williams. And while the platform was set rather nicely for Josh Thomas, Cardiff have made sticky work of this ball. They find themselves 20 metres further back. Thomas, nothing on, so runs into a wall of green and white. It's the captain, Pollock, very, very impressive. All the good stuff goes through Pollock in the midfield, be it deception or getting his hands on the ball. Watch out for him. And Dunford really mixes things up with an interesting angle on the crossfield. But penalty advantage being played. What do you go for here?
I don't know. For me, probably being more conservative and trusting the boot of Dunford, I'd point to the post to try and get those points on the board. It's what they're doing. Cardiff, obviously, we've seen them score tries from all over the park so far, but I think coming here, this huge crowd below us, an early confidence booster here for Dunford, if he's able to slot this one over and somewhat silence this crowd below us, will be crucial for his side.
Well, not just a good co-coms in terms of crystal ball work, potential DOR stuff from you, Harry, because we are going for the posts, and I wonder what Ed Dunford's like, kicking goals at a notoriously tricky ground to master the win, but throw in an EURFC chorus. And it's a piece of cake. Ed Dunford splits the poles, and Cardiff get the first points of the evening.
Really good opening 10 minutes from Cardiff. Exeter put them under all sorts of pressure in those opening exchanges. They negated it really, really well, and Dunford pulling the strings with those those booming kicks up towards Benji Josselin, Mats Cortis, challenging Cortis a little bit positionally in those opening minutes. And for Exeter now, they just need to get their hands back on the ball and get a bit of territory down in that Cardiff half.
Tall, strong take from Pollock. No one challenging. Josh Thomas taking his time to dig it out at the back of the Caterpillar. Invites Exeter and captain Ollie Leatherbarrow to attack with a bit of gusto and aggression, and that rouses the crowd here. Long ball to the danger man, Kofi Barton Byfield. Top scorer in BUCS Super Rugby at the moment, a hat-trick last week. He's got a bit of form when it comes to the big Sandy Park occasion in the green and white as well. It's a good read though from Ridian Williams. Snuffs out the danger, but the cavalry come in. Really, Cardiff working so hard to make every metre maximum effort for Exeter at the moment.
They're really needing all of the experience that they've got in that side at the moment. Cardiff doing a superb job there at the maul, earning themselves the scrum. You can see what Exeter are trying to do with Cairns sniping off of the base of those mauls, sniping around the fringes and trying to release the likes of Leatherbarrow, De Bomber, those big carriers that are in that Exeter back row. But so far, Cardiff's back row, George Shaw, Willem Evans, James Roberts are doing a sterling job of keeping them at bay.
I mean, the back row is a triumvirate that you always draws your attention, doesn't it, when you talk about matchups and great teams. Really, when you're looking at this Cardiff side, it is a trio of menaces there. George Shaw, converted from second row, in fact, been working with the Ireland 20s. They're keen to move him to 6, so DOR, Alan Flower, he's been working alongside the Irish Rugby Union to help manage that transition, and he's blossoming. James Roberts, man for the big occasion, winning try at the Cardiff Clash. And then, if you look at the 7 jersey, I mean, the big name that is that's missing tonight is Greg Ramage. He's out with Hong Kong, getting ready to play in the World Cup qualifier in Dubai, which I'm commentating on next week, actually. And you know, he goes, and then you miss out on Moxley. Who do you throw in? Well, Gwilym Evans, who's being tipped for Wales 20s. So an absolute embarrassment of riches between 6, 7 and 8.
There really is for Cardiff. There is for Exeter as well. Ross Vincent missing out tonight with concussion, and then disappearing off to play for the Italian select side against Leicester Tigers as well. But I think that's, for me, it's one of the things. You look at BUCS Super Rugby, there's so many players that come out of this league, but there are so many unbelievable dynamic back rows that seem to be picked up every single season from every single side.
Cardiff happy to kick away possession and let their defence do the talking, and the chase was really good, but that last minute dip from Josselin just buys the penalty. It's a bit of a break there for Exeter, isn't it?
It's a bit of a break, and it's one they needed. They're really struggling to get out of their half at the moment. Cardiff suffocating them with that defence so far. Really good nudge though from Barton up towards halfway. I think for Exeter, you look at how Cardiff seem to be defending inside out here. An opportunity to potentially get the likes of Josselin into some space on this far side. Been playing on the wing this season. Back to, would say, his more familiar position of fullback tonight. And after there's been a little bit of treatment over there for Will De Bomber, I'm sure Exeter are going to want to get his hands on the ball as quickly as they can.
So, just a brief little respite. It's been a busy 15 minutes, hasn't it? Maybe not on the scoreboard, but certainly a pattern emerging of Cardiff looking to nullify not just Exeter's threats with the ball, but maybe quell the loudness of their crowd as well with some miserly defence. As Exeter look to try and get beyond the halfway. Robbed, though, from Kofi Barton Byfield. Just feel that surge of expectation when the ball is heading his way. Adam Williams carries up but held up. Wrestles himself to the floor.
Really, really good defence that from Cardiff. Barton Byfield so elusive. Bumped about 3 players last week for his hat-trick score. And Cardiff negating his threat really well in those opening exchanges there, and his first real opportunity snuffed out really well. But a penalty for Exeter and a crucial opportunity now to just get some momentum and get some territory.
Josh Barton finding a modest but assured touch. Ollie Burrows, the Wales 20, goes to the back. Here we go. Cairns launching an attack through the midfield via Chester Ribbons. Good go forward from the inside centre. Barton, inside ball. That opens up Cardiff a bit, and Burrows goes bullocking through. Barton now pulling the strings, feeling the game. Cairns. Oh, wow. You see the collective craniums of EURFC rock back in frustration. That was the nicest passage they built, just not quite the pass from Cairns.
Not quite there. Cairns will be really disappointed with that one. Normally so astute from the base of the ruck. Impressed for the university this season, impressed for Exeter Chiefs actually as well in the Prem Cup alongside a number of these players. And Exeter did really well. Their first opportunity really that they've broken that Cardiff defence through Burrows, and they just need to keep sticking to those structures when they get down into these positions and not overthink things.
Barton Byfield, bit of room for him. What can he do? Goes laterally, sells the dummy and puts the burners on. Just a glimpse of what the 5-try man's all about. A shot in the arm for the Exeter attack. Joslin. Leather Barrow, we know what happens here. Look at the strength when he hits the contact. Holes just beginning to open up, not fully, but a creak, and Barton spots one he likes. Cairns in a similar spot to where it went wrong before, and he makes amends with a nice slippery break and offload off the floor. Ribbons. Cardiff creaking. The green and white knocking. Better carry from Milo Hallam. Leather Barrow going short. Cairns declines the invitation. Such hard yards from Todd Mule, and he's carried through by his teammates before the ball is robbed and we're back for the penalty, but this is better from Exeter.
It's really starting to build now, 100%. You can see Josh Barton growing in confidence in that 10 jersey, picking passes at will, picking spaces at will for players to go through. An interesting call for Exeter here at the penalty, and if we see what they did last week, they'll go.
They'll go and they'll back their brawn. Oh, just amassed on the right of the ruck, and Leather Barrow charges across. He opens the scoring. Varsity is up and rocking, and it's the Green Machine with the first try of the night.
Brilliant speed of thought there from Exeter. If it wasn't going to be Kofi Barton Byfield, you just knew it was going to be Ollie Leather Barrow that would lead from the front there for his side, and he did there with aplomb. We've seen it in the middle of the park, those huge carries.
A try worth seeing again And you certainly don't stop an Ollie Leatherbarrow on a big Exeter night from that range, especially the carrying form that he's demonstrated so far in the match. 7-3, Exeter lead Cardiff. And after tough Cardiff defence, maybe their mind will be switching to getting a bit of possession for themselves. Happy to play without the ball thus far. But eventually, Exeter's repetitive hammering told. A majestic take from Felix Gilbert, so assured. And off we go, Josh Thomas. Brilliant pickup, stooping low, Theo Bavakwa. Dunford, a bit static, and Dunford on the wrap around and scrambling a little bit, Cardiff, but there's the strength of the centres. Luke Pollock. There are numbers here left if, Ethan Phillips decides to go inside. Dunford with the miracle ball, and wow, he had the penalty advantage. Why not?
Yeah, 100%. Why not? Worth a try. To be fair, the moment that he released that from his hands, you could see that one was flying a mile forward. But that's the response that Cardiff would have wanted. Straight away, back into that Exeter half, putting the pressure on. And Dunford then lining up the posts, just taking every single opportunity that they can come by. It's not usual this season, you'd say, to see Cardiff going for the posts, going for the points. But we saw in that big Cardiff clash how important Ed Dunford's boot off the tee was. And if he carries on as he started off about 10-15 minutes ago, then his side are well and truly in this match still.
It's a big old piece of grass, isn't it, here at Sandy Park? But one that Ed Dunford had no problem in sending a ball sailing over the upright once before. And no problems the second time. An important penalty, Cardiff bringing arrears to just the one. And on balance, with a quarter gone, Exeter 7, Cardiff 6, who do you feel is going to be happy with that scoreline? I feel that Cardiff will.
I think so too. For all the pressure that Exeter have had, Cardiff have had 3 visits into that Exeter half. They've come away with a couple of penalties. And I think as Josh Barson gets his side back underway here, for Cardiff it's just about keeping in the game. But that is some take there, and Exeter straight back on the front foot.
Thunderous hit. Wow, welcome to Sandy Park, and that's your meter and greeter, Kofi Barton Byfield.
They said it's not just tries that he loves scoring against Welsh opposition, it's defensive work as well. We saw a couple in that live stream game against Met, where he kept that Kincoid crowd quiet with a couple of booming tackles.
Well, as quiet as one can keep a Kincoid crowd.
Well, of course.
But certainly, that's one thing that these two sides have in common. Cardiff Met defeated by both these sides, and both in pretty interesting fashion as well. Exeter 20-0 up after around about 65 minutes, and they did manage to fend off a very spirited Cardiff Met comeback to eventually win 21-23. But to keep the Archers out for 65 minutes at home really is a testament to the defence. Barton, one of those try scorers, is the orchestrator of all the fluidity in the Exeter backline, and off goes Hill. Hill still going, sits one down. Exeter beginning to find their groove. Nice bit of footwork from Mule. Barton surveying his options, goes to Hallam. That inside play really foxing Cardiff at the moment. There's an offside as well, so Exeter rolling the dice.
Some pick up there from Benji Joseland as well. He's managed to get to ground as well, keeping the attack going.
Kent digging around, more great footwork from Mule. Cairns so threatening, finds the offload, and Exeter find their second.
Brilliant work there from the Exeter side. Will de Bomber on Cairns' shoulder when he needed it. And you can hear that roar, you can hear that music, you can see everybody celebrating in the stand below us. De Bomber there with his trademark celebration as well, that's appeared on the big screen try graphics. Brilliant for Exeter. And you talk about how much Cardiff needed those penalties, how happy they would be to be within that solitary point. Suddenly Exeter pulling the trigger really, and a brilliant try.
So Exeter with their second of the evening. Take a look here. Cairns has really been just a slippery nuisance. Had that poor pass into touch, but here he is just offering a bit of danger around the fringes, and Will de Bomber, like every goal hanging back row try lover, right on the shoulder to snaffle it and flop from 2 meters out.
That's right. By the end of the evening, when they're in timepiece, I'm sure he'll be saying he ran that one in from about 30 meters. But fantastic response for Exeter, as we were saying. And I think we mentioned it there, but I think you've got to credit the work of Benji Jocelyn to keep the ball alive in that attack, because that had the possibility of breaking down until his intervention.
No extras added by Josh Barton, and Cardiff, having looked in control defensively, having led 3-0 now, 12-6 down, straight out on the full from the kickoff. 11 minutes to go of the half. Need to maybe get themselves together, switch their heads back on, and sort of find that composure that they demonstrated again in the opening 20-25 minutes.
They definitely do, and you look at those opening exchanges. Yes, there was that booming boot from Dunford, forcing Exeter backwards, forcing them to chase back into their 22 to gather the ball. But those names that we were mentioning at the beginning, that the likes of Ridian Williams, Felix Gilbert in that back three, we've not really said their names much. So when Cardiff have been scoring tries so far this season, it's come from those flyers and those speedsters.
Well, that is a statement of a scrum, and Cairns does incredibly well to come away and find Barton. And Jocelyn showing all of his box of tricks. He's not just a speed merchant, he's got the power as well. And Leather Barrows connecting with Barton. Cairns growing into the game and puts a tricky, awkward bouncer for Leather Barrow to pounce. More support from Cortis, and just a bootlace finds the paint. You're shaking your head, Harry.
Well, obviously, Mats Cortis wearing those rainbow laces there managed to help the ARC. One of them just clipped the white line. Brilliant, clever thinking from Tom Cairns, but a brilliant read from Ollie Leatherbarrow as well. A superb tackle, has to be said, on Mats Cortis, but Exeter probing, pressing, and you have to say, as this half has gone on, they look to be the side that are more in control.
Lots of pressure on vice-captain Ben Chapman's throw, but he finds his man, but an error on the transfer. And Cardiff will need to dig deep and produce another scrum like they just did on the halfway line, because this is a prime piece of attacking real estate for EURFC.
They really will. We gave him a little bit of a shout out before the game kicked off, but I'm going to give him a big shout out now, and I'm sure the EURFC flair will love it. This is Jared Williams' territory, brought into the starting side today in place of Tom Harris, purely for that scrummaging ability that he has. Tom Harris, a brilliant scrummager obviously, but fantastic around the park, and this is Jared's opportunity here with his front row to try and really set their stall out after that last scrum.
Well, the Exeter personnel is that cult hero of Exeter, Jared Williams, Wales 20, Ollie Barrow, and recently converted Tom Mule, and it creates a nice platform for Cairns to go on another dart. Leather Barrow, not satisfied with just the one, goes in search of a second. Exeter keeping it tight, and here's Durrell, metre shy. A pick and a go, and Cairns gets sucked in. There's no halfback. Oh, and that's the kind of decision making that Exeter's Rich Hodges would probably like to be a little bit sharper, and probably Keith watching from home as well.
I'm sure he will. Keith Fleming probably watching in from home tonight. A hello to the director of rugby for Exeter. Such a big part of everything that is university rugby here in Exeter. Such a big part of everything that's Exeter Chiefs rugby in Exeter as well. A huge, larger-than-life character. But yeah, you say it there. That's it. Exeter just needed to keep their cool. One carry, play it wide, and the opportunity was there. And it's about keeping that composure when you get into those places in the park, because this game could go either way still.
Well, George Shaw, with the six on his back, very, very much the primary line-out outlet for Cardiff. Mentioned before, converted from the row, so he's no stranger to leaping highest. And tonight he's doing it in the Sandy Park skies. And Exeter seemingly buoyed by those two tries. Their defences stepping up. And Thomas sends one down the throat of Barton Byfield, who knocks on, and then there's an accidental offside. So an ideal return for Cardiff from what was looking like an auspicious counter-attacking option for Exeter.
It really was. Games can swing on moments like that, and Ed Dunford here puts everything he has into that one, but it's been kept in play quite superbly by Exeter, and Barton Byfield a second bite of the cherry here with ball in hand, and look at that, making up for that knock-on immediately with that carry.
Well, he's frog marched into touch by three of Cardiff's finest. He's just got the demeanour of a man who is just desperate to do anything. Like he wants to get on the ball, he wants to make something happen. Maybe forcing it slightly at the moment, although we did see that brilliant break as well.
Maybe ever so slightly. I know this obviously isn't quite the area that Ed Dunford had hoped for with the boot, but it's still a good attacking opportunity for Cardiff. Exeter just need to get Barton Byfield's hands on the ball, but they need to take that pressure off him with their carrying around the park and allow him to do what he knows he can do with ball in hand.
Well, James Roberts, who was excellent last week, takes the ball on, and Cardiff get a lucky break. Here's the fresher, Van der Venter. Great addition, big character. They've enjoyed welcoming him to the diff. Ben Chapman punches so far above his weight. Dunford, the inside-outside backdoor boogie. Doesn't find the hands of his teammates, and Cardiff in retreat.
Cardiff in retreat there. Brilliant pressure from Exeter. Firstly at that chase, I was going to say at that breakdown, but then kicking through the call against Sam Higginson. And again, we've said it a number of times in this half as Dunford really ups the pace of the game there. Just over half an hour on the clock. And despite Exeter having those opportunities, scoring those two tries, Cardiff are right in this, and we've seen so many times this season, when they need to click, their backline can be electric.
Yes, a backline that we haven't had the pleasure of discussing in offensive terms too frequently this half. Pollock and Van der Venter mentioned their potency in the midfield, but Rhys Harry's the fresher. Impressed off the bench last week, getting his start tonight and threatening as well. And Meridian Williams, tight on this left side, has got his arms wide open, begging for the ball, but it's the job of the big men first to stick their heads down and punch a few holes and turn Exeter around. Leatherbarrow goes off his feet, and well, he's fortunate to get away with it initially before another infringement gives Cardiff the penalty.
It's a shame there for Exeter, not just because of how close Cardiff are to the line, but for a second row, that was some nudge touch from Milo Hallam afterwards. But yeah, the pressure really coming on there. It looked like Leatherbarrow was in control of that breakdown, just losing his footing slightly when it came to it, and time ticking away at the end of this first half. Dunford going to the corner now. Cardiff have had enough of going to the post. They sense they can go in ahead at half-time.
I think he was more than just losing his footing. I think it was, it's obviously been on a yoga retreat. He was in a headstand there. So, Cardiff in the corner, late in the first half. Trailing by 6. Their best try-scoring opportunity of the half. And of course they go to their man, George Shaw, and they go on the rampage, and it's a red try-scoring rampage, surely held up. Last gasp, desperate defence from Exeter when it looked for all money it was going to be a try. Those are the big plays.
They really are the big plays. You talk about what you get when you put a centre on the wing. You saw it there from Max Corsis in terms of that extra physicality and that knowledge when a side comes back against the grain of when to drop, when to get himself under the ball. That is a huge, huge let-off for Exeter, though. That maul was moving at a rate of knots from Cardiff.
Ed Dunford, drop goal. Wow, that looked a bit late. But Exeter will counter, roared on by the crowd, and it's going to be penalty advantage. Rhys Harries. Plenty of action, quite end-to-end to close the half. Our clock not entirely in step with that of the referee. There's the inside ball from Cairns again. They spot that as a weakness of Cardiff, and the offloading play has opened them up, but Chester Ribbons' pass doesn't find the man, and it goes forward. Lots of excitement, but not quite the end product.
Loads of excitement there, and one thing you'd say with this Exeter attack, just with a shot there, Kofi Barton-Byfield, he probably would have been licking his lips until he heard the referee's whistle there with that opportunity to have the ball in space, is it's Cairns and Barton, everything's coming from them playing so flat on the gain line, feeding people like Ribbons, and that's where, I am going to say it, they're cutting the Cardiff defence to ribbons. I'm sorry, Byrnesy, I had to say it. But yeah, a really, really positive attack there from Exeter, just without that final pass.
The most important one.
Yeah, the one that counts. We'll talk about all the good stuff, but they needed that last bit to connect.
Here come Cardiff. Nice show and go. It's just a bit of a glimpse of what Pollock can do on the outside arc. Sloppy presentation, but again Cardiff get the penalty. A lot of penalties stacking up against Exeter. Something to be discussed at half-time when we get there. And looking at the stadium clock, which I think is tied to the referees, with 30 seconds left, we're looking at the final play of the half.
Huge, huge moments at the end of this half as well. Talk about championship moments. This is one of them for Cardiff. For Ben Chapman, needs to get this dart right. But yeah, you talk about those penalties starting to stack and build as the Exeter faithful try and serenade Chapman as he prepares to throw the ball in. It's all about how both of these sides react to the breakdown and the maul game.
Well, the line out is working supremely well for Cardiff at the moment, and it's very well formed, very well structured, and they continue to march on. Penalty advantage, they break loose. Ben Chapman again busting tackles until he meets Leatherbarrow. 3 metres shy. A hush descending on Sandy Park. They know this is a big moment. They know if Exeter can defend this, It's a half well won, but there's so much room out wide if the pass can be found. A bounce, a collect, and tackles arriving just in time. Cardiff with the wind in their sails. That's a beautiful line against the grain. The tackle needed to be made. Roberts. Exeter being asked to do the most defending they've done all game. Big over the top from Dunford to Chapman. Rides one. A second defender arrives. Big celebrations all round if you're of a green and white disposition. But there was penalty advantage.
Milo Hallam there, it looks like receiving his marching orders for the next 10 minutes right at the end of the half. That could be hugely, hugely costly for Exeter, and Cardiff pumped that one right back into the corner after that long, long advantage.
Well, the mountainous man that is Milo Hallam, wearing number 5, has left the field. He's just arriving at the tunnel. It's when he's taken out of the field among the rest of the Giants out there, you just appreciate quite how big some of these boys are. But it's Cardiff's big boys who are looking to drive, and this maul is stopped initially, and then it begins to flow, and it's flowing red. And it can only be stopped illegally. The referee goes right under the upright. A chorus of boos rings around, and it'll be another yellow card to Exeter. Down to 13 men. A penalty try conceded. The half-time whistle blows, and just like that, Exeter are trailing on their big night at Sandy Park. They're down to 13. It's half-time here. Exeter 12, Cardiff University 13.
Ollie Leatherbarrow, no waiting around there from the skipper, straight down the tunnel. You'd suspect there'll be a bit of an inquest there at half-time. That penalty try for Cardiff, taking the sting out of this home crowd a little bit. Cardiff, though, will be very, very happy with their work in that half. It's coming from the pack. It's something, like I said, we've not talked about that Cardiff pack too much this season, but they've been really leading the way, really driving it through. And for Exeter, it's an absolute sucker punch at the end of that first half. But we've seen from both of these sides this season that they really, really like to attack with ball in hand. Neither of them are afraid of being behind on a scoreboard, and I'm sure that will be the key message at half-time to Exeter from Rich Hodges, is that they've been in control for the vast majority of this, and they just need to get that composure back a little bit in this fixture. Control the territory, control the possession, and Cardiff, they've managed to keep them at bay pretty well so far, bar that last 3 minutes, and that's got to be the half-time message.
So the home side Exeter on their big varsity day, staring at a 1-point deficit at half-time. There is so much more rugby left in this one, though. So while the half-time inquests continue downstairs, we are going to have a look at some of that action that has left us with the 12-13 scoreline. And the boot of Ed Dunford has been key in just keeping Cardiff in the hunt and just keeping them in the rearview mirror of Exeter. Not that they've run away at any stage, but just chipping away at that scoreboard.
It really has, and I suppose, well, the obvious one is he can do it at the Arms Park, he can do it at Sandy Park now as well. It was, but Dunford has been really, really good for Cardiff. If you look at this Exeter try here from Leatherbarrow, that first of the evening, that's everything that this Exeter side are about. Power, poise, precision, but we've not really seen too much of the latter two, you've got to be honest. Dunford, though, we just watched this second penalty from the fly half, has been kicking metronomically, keeping things ticking over for his side. And Exeter will know, with the way that it's been going so far, anything in and around 40 metres of their posts, then that Cardiff fly half is going to be putting that over for his side.
Well, this is, well, it's not Cairns on the ball, although the footwork from Todd Muir has been quite exquisite But Cairns has been a real danger around the fringes. He's offered so much variety with the inside ball. He's happy to travel. He dishes it at speed when he wants it, and that's really what created that try for De Bomber.
It really was, and I have to say the Leeds-Beckett game last week, sorry, I should say, was very, very similar. Cardiff met the week before, keeping things moving for his side and keeping things ticking over. For Exeter, that's what they need to do, just keep their hands on the ball, keep building that momentum as well. And as the Sandy Park Stadium shows some of the tries from last week against Leeds-Beckett, it's something that this Exeter side was able to do really, really well in that fixture, was just keep that momentum going, and they need to find it in that second half and try and set their backs free. We've not seen too much of them, despite how promising Cairns has looked around the fringes.
Okay, well, with the score at 12-13, this is only part two of what is a double header from BUCS today on the live stream. And Exeter's women got the job done earlier today, and Claire is down pitch side with Poppy Leach.
Thanks so much, Bertie. Well, I've been joined by Poppy Leach, who's head coach of Exeter Women, and I imagine someone feeling rather delighted right now. 31 points to 7, but most excitingly, a 21-0 second half. How do you feel about the performance and the results?
Yeah, I'm really pleased. Really pleased for the girls. You know, it's been a really tough week, but they showed up today and put in a really strong performance against Durham, who are a really competitive side. So yeah, really pleased. Good to see some freshers get out there and get some good minutes under their belt as well.
Not just the win over the Women's National League champions, but a win without 3 of your stars who are being rested after being involved with the Chiefs this weekend. How much confidence do you have therefore in your squad depth?
Yeah, look, the COVID year almost gave us a year to kind of build that depth, and actually we worked hard with our tracking sheet to talk to our prospective players. So we've got really, really good depth right now, especially in some key positions, which is great. It's great to see those girls getting an opportunity at Exeter Chiefs, but I am looking forward to them getting back in the uni shirt, and I think they are too, so that'll be good.
I bet you are. Just how good could this team be?
Oh, it could be fantastic. I think, look, they showed today that they're here to be competitive, and that's what we wanted from the start. So look, I'm really excited to be back in the Women's National League with them, and I'm excited to see the season ahead. So yeah, really good squad.
You mentioned what's coming. University terms fly by at a rate of knots. They're literally blink and you'll miss them months. How are you looking ahead to Christmas? How does that run-in, that festive run-in look?
Yeah, look, we spoke at the end of pre-season about our first term calendar, which is pretty heavy. So we've got a bye week, but then we've got 4 games on the bounce. So we've done 7 of 10 games before Christmas starts. So we've spoken to the girls about managing their load, managing their recovery days, so that we can get the best out of them coming into these 4 games. So I think we've got Hartbury away, and then we've got 3 home games on the bounce. So I'm hoping by Christmas we're in a really good league position, so we can have a break at Christmas, reset, come back in for the last couple of games, and then hopefully into knockouts. So fingers crossed for everything.
There was some very strong braid game amongst your squad today. I spoke to some of them ahead of time, and they said there are plenty of platters in the team. What I liked the most was there were a lot of rainbow laces in those braids. How much do you talk about inclusivity as a squad, and why do you think it's important we keep having those conversations?
Oh look, it's massive, you know, it's amazing to see the diverse squad that we have this year, and that must continue, and that's not just in our game, that's in our university, that's across all the leagues. So yeah, it's really pleasing. The girls always buy into the rainbow laces, they love it, they wear them all year, they don't just wear them for today. So yeah, they're a great group of girls that really want to push that inclusivity and that equality and equity, which is really important.
You've obviously taken to coaching like a duck to water, so without trying to take the jobs away from Keith and Rich and co, what are they saying in that dressing room right now? Because that last 5 minutes will have stung.
I think they'll probably be saying that they've got a real opportunity to go at Cardiff a little bit harder at the moment. I think they need to manage the collisions a little bit better, need a bit more aggression in defence and probably managing their body height in attack. But this is a strong Exeter side and equally a strong Cardiff side, but I've got absolute faith in the men today, and they've got a great crowd here supporting them, with the women in the crowd as well. So I look forward to the second half, and I'm sure the answers will be made out there later on.
Let's have a little back row, Lovin, because it's a position you play yourself. Ollie Leatherbarrow is some player, isn't he? What do you like about the way he goes about his business?
Do you know what? He's an absolute workhorse, but the biggest thing I like about Ollie is his energy on the pitch. You always see him driving standards, not just through his words and his vocals, but also through his actions. And also he's really big on there being some real unity within the club, which is also really important. So I've got a lot of time for Ollie, and I think he's been a great captain so far.
It's a bold move with the white scrum cap. I don't know how long that will stay white for. one final question for you. You've been sat up in the stands. This place sounds like it's rocking from up in commentary. Is that how it feels to be sat amongst them?
Oh, 100%. This is one of the biggest student events of the year, and everybody looks forward to it. So I think they've got well over 3,000 students in here, which is great. So I'm glad they all get to be here and enjoy what can be such a great event. And I'm sure the boys will do well, get a win, and I dread to think what's going to happen if they get that W.
I'm really excited to see it myself. I'll let you get back in amongst it. You might be there just in time for the dud-dud-dars of the chorus. Everyone's favourite song ringing out amongst it. Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on the result today.
Thank you so much. Have a nice evening. See you later.
Was fantastic to see was the men's first team this evening tunnelled the women's first team onto the pitch at the Rubber Crumb with a whole bag full of the men's club there supporting them as well. But there's lessons to be learned from that women's performance for this men's side if they saw that second half, in terms of Exeter didn't do much wrong in that first half against Durham. They just perhaps rushed it a little bit too much, whereas that second half you saw a much more composed performance, keeping that opportunity going, keeping those chances coming, and not over complicating things. And I think that's the key message for this Exeter men's side, is to do likewise in this second half, because this Cardiff defence at times has been under pressure. They've coped superbly well so far, but Exeter have shown that they can punch those doors open.
Well, there isn't, of course, just this match this evening in the league, so from my my tweet deck, we'll call it, my mobile phone here right by my side, we're going to fill you in on some of the scores elsewhere. And well, the other side of the city, the Archers Cardiff Met, have got well, a comprehensive victory over the New Boys Nottingham, 39-3 to the Archers, so big win for them. But I guess the big score that everyone will be talking about is Bath, their big game at the Rec. 40-13 winners over Durham, the Palatinate, the team that won the league last year, the team that only lost once all year in the league. They've now been beaten by Cardiff and now Bath in a commanding performance, and one absolutely extraordinary finish from their big rangy second row, Mackenzie Graham. Remember that name, the barbarian Lot Graham, storming into the corner. But the riff of Metallica tells you that EURFC are on their way. Enter Sandman is going to get Sandy Park wide awake. Keep both eyes open, because you're not going to want to miss this next 40 minutes. Exeter down to 13, trailing by a point. Cardiff out early, soaking up the partisan atmosphere. And the Green Machine making their fans wait. The anticipation builds, but wait no longer. Here they come for the second half.
Atmosphere building here, fantastic to see in Exeter. They need that response, 13 men for the next 10 minutes, and it's going to be crucial, this partisan crowd.
Well, a big change to report from that half-time is the departure of Exeter's number 9, Tom Cairns, who's been replaced by Will Beckinsale. Can only presume injury enforced.
It's got to be. I saw Tom Cairns down there as the second half gets underway, back with the bib on, but Will Beckinsale, scrum half, fly half, an extra kicking option as well. And Exeter could really do with that extra option in this second half. Beckinsale, an Exeter Chiefs player as well, and another one who starred in the Prem Cup in recent weeks, so a big opportunity for him and a big opportunity for Cardiff early doors there.
Well, Barton sets off and spots some room, but charged down. Very, very tight charge down as well. Comes away with it. And first sighting of Beckinsale from the base. Goes to his captain, the man with all the energy. You heard Poppy Leach commending the captain, not just for the meters made, but just the standards that he drives. He'll need to lead from the front and chase hard as Beckinsale goes to the skies.
Really good kick there from Beckinsale, allowing his chasers to get up, put the pressure on, and Cardiff then now looking to carry hard in the middle of the park. That 1 point advantage for Cardiff as they go back the other way with the Exeter defence trying to put that pressure on them.
More muscular stuff from Exeter means that Thomas will release his back three hounds to go after this one. But Ribbons is a match to the kick. A rather sizable Tom Hitchcock-sized jersey to fill after his exploits in the Cup Triumph campaign last season. Hitchcock, another one of those BUCS Super Rugby success stories now at London Irish. Playing with a host of others like Tom Pearson of Cardiff Mets. There's got to be someone else in there. I mean, they're everywhere these days. You throw a dart at a Premiership League table, you're going to hit a BUCS Super Rugby player.
You definitely are. Just speaking of Tom Hitchcock, I was at the StoneX for the Prem Cup match a couple of weeks ago against Saracens. He looked right at home in a professional environment. A fantastic performance. And Cardiff then, a fantastic performance so far here at Sandy Park this evening. And with the ball in hand, Dunford then looking to try and use those options out wide.
Well, Benji Jocelyn, you don't want to give it to him because he does it all, and this time he finds green grass in between three Cardiff backfield markers. Barton Byfield. Well, that is an intriguing kick. I'm not sure that's worthy of a replay, but I'd certainly be fascinated to see it. And that's a tester from Barton that's juggled and then gathered, and with Exeter jerseys, including the man who put the kick up initially, bearing down, all Cardiff can do is slice one off, and it's a big territory game for Exeter, who don't want to hang around. Wilder Bomber in driving forward, having taken the transfer from the line out. It's being dragged along by his knees, but gets the ground, and Beckinsale. Chester Ribbons working hard in this half so far, working hard in the first half. And that sort of indiscipline, that range, with the scoreline being so tight, can't help but feel that those sorts of decisions at the breakdown could prove critical as the match unfolds.
They really could. It's so tight, it's so cagey. Exeter were momentarily there down to 12 players with Matt Cortis, it looks like, on that far side, who was initially receiving treatment and is still receiving treatment from the physio there. Exeter going for the posts, and I think obviously Josh Barton there as a kick-in option, but Will Beckinsale on the field that can kick as well. And with the way this game has gone, just a penalty to nudge themselves back into the lead if Barton converts this is going to be crucial to get this home crowd back up on their feet and roaring.
Well, Tom Capel has come on the field for Cardiff wearing 20. Shock of blonde hair. And Josh Barton shows what a good summer of hard work with the likes of Tony Yap and the School of Kicking can do for your form from the tee, because he splits the uprights and he puts Exeter back into the lead. 15-13. Don't believe our scoreboard.
Yeah, it's tight, it's cagey, and I think actually from Exeter, that decision to take the point shows the utmost respect for the way this Cardiff University side have attacked this game so far. 9 times out of 10, that would go into the corner. But just knowing they need to try and edge themselves ahead on the scoreboard. And Beckinsale now will put boot to ball, go for the aerial option, and invite his chasers to put the pressure on the likes of Felix Gilbert.
Well, that's a pressure cooker, isn't it? It's well taken, but immediately a 3-man Exeter welcome committee driving back to the 10-metre line. Well, that's some uncompromising clear-out play from Tom Capel. Dunford releases the backs. Here come Cardiff. They've broken through. They've got men if they can execute the 2-on-1 support on the left shoulder. Leatherbury chasing so hard. Goodness me, how did he catch him? But for a handful of jersey, the basketball play from Cardiff keeps it alive. They just need the right option. Dunford has it, and Cardiff are streaking across. Coast to coast, opened up through the heart. And with the try finish to match, James Roberts silences the Sandy Park crowd.
It's a brilliant finish from Roberts there. Brilliant heads-up rugby from Ed Dunford. I thought that Ollie Leatherbarrow there had managed to put in an absolute captain's knock with that tackle. Not to be, though. Exeter obviously missing 2 forwards at the moment, with both of them in the bin, and as Dunford slots that conversion, you could just see that space opening up where they would have been. Really good read from Cardiff, back in the lead again, and Exeter now 5 points down, know that they need a try to get themselves level, a converted try to go into the lead. There's plenty of time, there's still plenty of time in this match, but credit where it's due, that was some execution there from Cardiff, despite the best efforts of Ollie Leatherbarrow.
It was quite incredible desperation defence from Exeter, but once they got in behind, it was that ball out the back, the depth offered by James Roberts, and the easiest of finishes for the big number 8. The size of James Roberts' frame, only matched in stature by his character, a well-loved member of this Cardiff University side. Nickname Chocolate. I'm seeking further clarity on why.
I was going to say, I'm scared to ask.
Exeter on the back foot, still not back to their full complement. Milo Hallam warms himself up, and that's play on because the ricochet came off the head of Joslan, and some illegal escorting means a huge win and a massive opportunity for Exeter now. Hallam is being wound up like the cord on a lawnmower down there at the touchline.
Arthur Thomas there getting in his ear as well. With Bristol Bears at the moment, so to just jump over you there, Burnsy, but you can see they're really keen to get him on the field for this one. Adds so much extra ballast to this Exeter pack, and where Barton showed the utmost respect with that penalty a few minutes ago, there's no doubt where this one is going to go for Exeter as they hunt that 3rd try, and a try to at the very least pull them level.
Exeter still not back to their full complement. Remember, Jared Williams sin bin at the death of the first half. Can Exeter show Cardiff how they like to drive around the Sandy Park region? Here they come, it feels like irresistible momentum for the green and white. Somehow it's halted, not meters, centimetres. Exeter go for a Burrow. Honey potted round the line, and it's sweet, sweet, sweet for the green machine. Hallam back on the pitch. Exeter scoring tries, it's 20 apiece.
Will de Bomber with his second try of the match, a brilliant carry there. Ollie Leatherbarrow, we saw the celebration against Cardiff Met when they scored their third try a few weeks ago. There's another one for his celebration reel there. You can see how much it means to him and to his side. Jared Williams back on as well now. And for Exeter, considering they've played the best part of 10 minutes with 13 men, to be level with a kick to edge themselves back into the lead, I think they will be pretty happy with that outcome.
Get in the hole, the cry from the EURC faithful, but Barton can't oblige. And as you said, having soaked up the pressure, having dealt with the numerical disadvantage, Exeter back on level terms and back to the full complement as well. Jared Williams, the prop sin bin for the penalty try at the death of the first half, back in play, back inspiring the crowd. He's so popular here in Exeter, but he's got some making up to do, having spent an extra 10 minutes on the naughty step.
I was going to make a joke at this point and say he's not used to starting and going for a majority of a match, so probably needed that little 10-minute breather. But yeah, for Exeter, crucial to be back up to the full complement now, putting that pressure on Cardiff. More importantly, trying to stop the likes of Ed Dunford, and Cardiff have gone again.
Ed Dunford is such a silky player to watch. He's really dragging Exeter around the park and moving defenders to his tastes.
Really good chase back there from Matt Cortis. Positioned perfectly, and then a lovely little show and go, and 10 valuable metres made for Will Beckinsale to try and line this one up and gain as many metres as possible.
Well, good to see Max Cortis back on his feet. If you're into weird TikToking, Max Cortis is your man. Maybe a post-match activity for those of you sat at home. But at the moment, we're delighted to see him up and playing. There's Tom Capel, returning himself after concussion at Bath. His kick to Joseland, who returns with a bit of interest. Pollock up there trying to just shut the door so that Exeter can't get it to Barton Byfield. They've kept him pretty quiet, Cardiff. And, well, it's like going to Barton. He doesn't catch that one sweetly. There is some opportunity for Cardiff. Well tackled though. And a penalty as well. Great return for Exeter there, and coming off the feet, Ed Dunford can't believe it. Will de Bomber waggles his finger, laughs in his face and tells him to go on his way.
Crucial opportunity for Exeter there. I think we're starting to see in this second half, 14-15 minutes into it already, that it's going to come down to the kicking game here. It's going to come down to the territorial battle. Both sides, when they get 30-40 metres out from the line, have looked like they could score at will. It's just which side blinks first and which side can make the most of those opportunities.
Up goes Higginson. Down he comes. Leatherbarrow invites the Bomber to go hunting for a hat-trick. A lot of energy and impetus. That's Ollie Burrows. Beckinsale digging away, finding Hallam. Burrows goes first receiver. Oh, just not the pass to find Cortis, who spins and does well. Ollie Leatherbarrow is absolutely everywhere. I'm not quite sure how he's got there. He must have a teleportation machine in his shorts. Beckinsale, the pass is there, isn't it, for Higginson, and a timely tackle to shut the door. Exeter, it's a little bit frantic at times, some loose passes in with the good ones, and still not breaking Cardiff down.
Cardiff as well, really challenging Exeter at that breakdown. You could see the speed of ball that Beckinsale's been trying to get for his side, and they're doing a really good job to negate that at the moment, putting the pressure on, getting their bodies around him. But that's better though from Exeter. That's the sort of speed of ball they'll be looking for here.
Well, all those green jerseys created a bit of confusion for the defence, and that's so well placed. It turns the Cardiff defence, bounces awkwardly, and oh, for a moment, me and 4,000 others thought Barton Byfield had swiped it on the way through. The referee and assistant are conferring. I don't think it's a try, but it is carried across, and it'll be a 5-metre scrum to Exeter. An absolutely pin-perfect kick, full of mischief and a sprinkling of chaos.
Superb play from Will Beckinsale. Just looking at that replay, how close was Barton Byfield to getting his mitts on that one. For Exeter though, we literally just said about the side that controls the skies is the side that is probably going to go on to win this. And Beckinsale there, that was textbook scrum half play when your side need to try and get a bit of momentum. And Exeter now back up to that full complement. As we said, there's piles of bodies down there on the ground at the moment for both teams. It's been an absorbing contest, but a huge moment in this match now, approaching the hour mark.
Well, it looks like all the bibs in the county of Devon are on the field at the moment, from water carriers to physios and other medical professionals, just patching up the war wounds of what you said right there. An absorbing game to this point. Just under 20 minutes remaining. Just over 20 minutes, I beg your pardon. And this feels like a point in the game where we can see the huddle there, Leatherbarrow moving between his players. The Cardiff pack amassed as well, where it's a re-evaluation of where you're at. It's realigning what and reaffirming what you need to do, what these teams need to do to win this match.
100%. We might not have seen it so far in the scrum. We've seen it in the driving game though, in the loose from Exeter, how strong this pack is. Jared Williams there, sucking in, drawing breath. Tom Harris could be making his way onto the field soon, but for Jared Williams, still out there, still going, and he knows what his task is now as part of a huge 8-man shove. And if Exeter do manage to get the ball out of this one, it'll be really interesting to see if Beckinsale wants it or if Leatherbarrow fancies a rumble himself.
Beckinsale just lurking, ready to put it in, but a reset from a couple of front rows who've been very settled throughout the game. It's been a really good contest. You can see there that blonde shocker hair Tom Capel is on at 6, the patched up Gwilym Evans in 7, and looks like George Shaw has moved to number 8. No reduction in quality with Capel coming on. But Beckinsale is going to have Josh Thomas breathing down his neck. Leather Barrow has a false start and a stutter, but eventually gets away. Hallam. Exeter very content to play things tight through Higginson. Leather Barrow seems to always take two. Williams with the deftness of touch and the slide and glide from Lucas Durrell. Is he there? The referee says no. They're not just singing now in Sandy Park, they're banging the rafters, they're finding anything to make some noise. Cardiff creaking. Exeter diving. Still short. Barton long over the top to his namesake. Plus Byfield. Kofi is mobbed. Sandy Park erupts. Exeter take the lead.
Look at what that means to everybody on the field. Look at how hard they've had to work for that. Look at how pumped up, how fired up Kofi Barton Byfield is there. Brilliant pass from Josh Barton. That still took some finish, and I have to say, people might say that I might have an extra hat on here, but I thought Lucas Durrell had the ball on the line. It didn't matter though. Just look at this replay. Will Beckinsale, really good awareness with that Cardiff defence, really narrow. Beautiful ball from Barton. One step, one dive, two hands on the ball, and that is textbook from Barton Byfield. We talk about university pathways, we talk about university players. There is a lesson for anybody playing on the wing. Ball in two hands, and you can always make sure you can get that ball down.
Barton gets as close as can be to maximising that try. But Exeter will more than settle for taking the lead. This is a match, mark my words. And the cavalry comes on. Ben Roberts for Cardiff, Cam Scott, Ed Thompson. There'll be more out there as well. Just a raft, and Ben Roberts, bit of a point to prove. Really highly rated. He's been training with the Ospreys, and something of a surprise to not be included in the starting lineup, but maybe off the back of that loss to Hartbury, Alan Flower deciding that Alex Ashton with a bit more ballast needed a go. But doesn't mean Ben Roberts can't do the business here tonight. Very, very good player, and Cardiff will need a lot of energy from their replacements. They've got lots of time. They only trail by 5, and here's one of them now, Ed Thompson.
I think that's the interesting one as well. You look at how Cardiff have been using their bench. You look at the fact that Exeter, their only change so far is Will Beckinsale on at scrum half. There's going to be some tired bodies out there for Exeter, and some bodies on that sideline that are going to be absolutely desperate to get onto the field and show what they can do. One thing I would say though is you look at this, you look at the other results this season, anybody that thought Cardiff's early season performances might be a flash in the pan, completely mistaken. They are a side, looking at this form, that will be right up there come the top end of the season.
Cortis, nice and secure. Well, among the many flattering remarks you can make about this Cardiff University side is they don't mind leaving it late. Just ask Bath, just ask Cardiff Met. And they don't care where they do it either. The STV, tick. The Arms Park, tick. Would they like a Sandy Park scout to add to their collection?
You can see the tackles flying in here from both sides as well. Sam Higginson putting himself about there, really trying to disrupt that Cardiff breakdown. Dunford, oh, so close there for Barton. And Cardiff now suddenly have the opportunity in broken field.
Well, here they go. They found Lots of joy scampering out in that 15-metre channel on the left-hand side in this second half. It fashioned that wonderful try for Roberts, who's no longer with us, and Pollock sets off in pursuit. It sits up beautifully for the outside centre, who offloads to Capel. Here come Cardiff. Something for them to get behind. Show and go from Roberts, who just has his arm dragged down at the vital moment.
Crucial moment that for Exeter. Cardiff in broken field are such a dangerous side. We saw it there. A really clever kick as well, and an awkward bounce of the ball just falling in Exeter's favour. And now looking to reset, realign, and Will Beckinsale just marshalling his troops as Leatherbarrow carries hard into contact.
Beckinsale asks the big boys to soak up a few more metres and soften the Cardiff shoulders a little bit more. I'll tell you what, Beckinsale dangerously close to being charged down there. But it's worked out all right, bouncing awkwardly and hitting the touchline.
And you have to say, sensible play there from Kofi Barton Byfield. Just, it's a Cardiff ball, but grabbing the ball so they couldn't take it quickly. Looked like they wanted to chuck that one around again. Exeter then, a couple of players down. Ollie Burrows receiving a bit of treatment, and Luke Brailsford down below us, readying himself as well, along with Scott Butterworth, as Cardiff then starting to feel the effects of this match as well. Brailsford then making his way onto the field. Butterworth then will be coming on for Ollie Burrows. And for Luke Brailsford, I think a really significant moment for him, an integral part of that Exeter side last season that eventually won that national championship final, injured in the last match of the season against Cardiff Met, has had to work so hard to get back to full fitness. And this is his reward tonight, coming off the bench at Sandy Park to show what he can do again.
Well, he got his sea legs back a little bit at the weekend, didn't he? Off the bench against Hinckley in National 2. Of course, Exeter University promoted last season from Southwest Premier, now battling on two tough fronts in National 2 West. And, well, you can battle all you like, but you can't buy class like that. That is inch perfect from Will Beckinsale, who we might have done a discredit to when questioning why he'd replaced Tom Cairns at the start of the second half, but he has brought a lot to this Exeter structure in defence and in attack.
He really has. Two very different types of scrum half, Cairns and Beckinsale, both unbelievable operators, both give you that threat around the park, but that extra kicking option that Beckinsale gives you so far has been proving crucial for Exeter, just taking a bit of that pressure off of Josh Barton and allowing him to do what he can do with ball in hand. But then when a maul starts trundling forward like that is from Cardiff, there's very little that your kickers can do.
The worry being that Cardiff have got disorientated and they've also been infiltrated. Exeter get their tentacles in and around and drag it to the floor. And it's those little energy sapping wins as we see Ed Dunford trudge off away. It's a great maul initially as we see one of the looser lineouts.
I think as well there,
brilliant kick.
Sorry, Burns, I was going to say, I think as well there, a huge credit has to go to Todd Mule, playing at tight head, has been playing in the second row, but getting up now towards 70 minutes is still there, still going strong, and has looked solid as a rock in that front row and was critical there in that turnover.
Yes, Todd Mule at tight head wearing 3 for Exeter. Absolutely fascinating journey for him. He was a second row, wasn't he? And it's been decided this season, let's get a bit of that shunt and grunt on our front row. And tonight is his first game starting at tight head, which is quite remarkable. He got 60 minutes at the weekend, and Exeter said, yeah, let's put him in, and he's been impressive, hasn't he?
He really has. Tom Harris then onto the field for Jared Williams now as well. Dunford looked a little bit disappointed with himself there with that high up and under, but it still worked for his side.
Well, it's one of those, it was so unusual and extraordinary that neither side really knew how to deal with it. And Cardiff just about take the initiative. I wonder, starved of quality possession, if Cardiff can just string a few phases and get the ball through the hands like they like to. Can they open up Exeter? They're still well within range. That loose ball forces Thomas to go to Barton, who really has been excellent this evening for Exeter. Felix Gilbert sets himself a chasing challenge. Barton Byfield wriggles free, and once again not held in the tackle. It's just that electricity injection when Kofi Barton Byfield gets the ball.
He's so strong in contact as well, and a penalty coming for Exeter, which I'm sure they'll be glad of, because that wasn't the best pass, but Max Cortis has done brilliantly with that.
Well, they'll want to go wide, even though they've got the penalty advantage. There's so much opportunity. Timely interception.
Interesting decision here for Exeter. Stadium clock and our clock both saying just under 8 minutes left. You've got the bonus point. You now need to get the win. Do you back yourself and go for the corner, or do Exeter look to take the points and try and edge themselves away from that 1 point, or from that try, to take Cardiff back into the lead? It's such a critical decision.
Well, Harry, you successfully crystal balled this in the first half, so let's put your neck on the line for this one.
Well, I think looking at Will Beckinsale down there, he seems to be keen, and indeed he is lining up the tee.
It doesn't count when the tee's already on the pitch, Harry.
It was too late by that point. I'd already seen them run it on, sadly. But Will Beckinsale's first kick of the match, a really, really crucial one as well, taking over the kicking duties from Barton. I can't call it a crystal ball decision, but I can say I think it's probably the right call from Exeter with how this game has been going.
Well, potentially the right call, but we may not know whether it would have been had it sailed over, because it's pulled by Will Beckinsale. Challenging kick for your first one of the night.
It really was. You can see Tom Cairns there with his head in his hands on the sideline as Beckinsale made contact with that one. It was a good strike, probably the right decision. But Cardiff then absolutely pumping that one down the field, and Exeter are going to have to look to build again.
This game hangs tantalisingly in the balance, and Cardiff players are lurking. Watch out. They've got sticky fingers out there in the back line, and they're plucking interceptions and creating havoc in the backfield and fashioning opportunities like this down the left that could well send Sandy Park into a deathly hush.
Brilliant finish there.
Oh, goodness me. It was a timely interception from Ben Chapman, and Luke Pollock, who's been industrious all night, was the one to find himself at the end of the chain after fast hands. And just like that, not just the scoreboard, but the absolute mood here has turned on its head.
It really has, and I think as well from Pollock, it's the awareness with that chasing player coming back to get himself as close to the posts as possible. We're all square again. There's just over 5 minutes to go. A conversion that you would expect to be slotted from where it is on the park to edge Cardiff back into the lead. You talk about how crucial that Will Beckinsale penalty miss could be in the final reckoning. These final 5 minutes are going to be absolutely absorbing. And the job has been done. Cardiff edging themselves back into the lead, and Exeter having to do it all again.
That was the pass, wasn't it? Ben Chapman, it's not the first time that he's been loitering with intent. And then Dunford, the quick whip. And this is just excellent execution. Draw pass. The sevens man, Pollock, who was doing it in Rugby Town, Glendale in the summer. With the pace and the finishing skills, and also the wherewithal to use that big, deep dead ball area to get round and make the easy conversion for Dunford. What a 4 minutes we have left. And it feels unjust to be proposing this, but you need to start thinking about your man of the match. Harry Scott Munro. Will hold off until this game is well and truly settled, because I feel there's a few more twists and turns ahead.
There really is. You can see there a little bit of a difficult decision. Exeter know a penalty puts them into the lead. Barton telling Leatherbarrow, put it towards the posts, and that's what they've done. Beaconsfield will be taking over the kicking duties again. Our clock says 78-42. The stadium clock says 36-49. Whatever way you look at it, we are in the final moments of this game, and this is one of the, well, it goes without saying, most critical moments so far. Can Beaconsfield redeem himself from that first attempt?
A groan of anguish rings round Sandy Park as Will Beaconsfield repeats his trick of pulling the penalty to the left of the uprights. Cardiff breathe a sigh of relief. They'll be staring intently on the stream back across the Severn Bridge. All those down in the diff who couldn't make it this evening, as Leatherbarrow tries to drag all 14 of his teammates to the finishing post with a trademark carry, and another interception gets Cardiff in behind and scampering in the backfield. And I wonder, is this being called for a late tackle? Well, if that is for a late tackle, that should be further up the field. Let's see, here we are now, Harry, what do you think?
Here we go, let's look at it. Huge bump on Barton Byfield. And it's Chester Ribbons, it looks like. Kofi Barton Byfield looking like he's having to leave the field as well after that head knock in the contact. But yeah, it's Chester Ribbons that's been penalised there. And for Cardiff, with time ticking away, I hope the referee's clock is off, because nothing's happening on the field. But this is a huge decision for Cardiff now. What do they do?
What drama. What drama here at Sandy Park. BUCS Super Rugby, do you do boring games? I don't think so. We're going to the wire.
And what a cauldron for Johnny Searle to come into on his BUCS Super Rugby debut, replacing the stricken Barton Byfield.
He joked at the weekend, Johnny Searle, that he scored his first try in 4 years. Wouldn't it be a time to go on a little bit of a streak now, Johnny boy? Exeter are going to have to win the ball back first. The scoreboard is against them. The clock is against them. They have the might of the Cardiff University pack against them. It edges forward. Exeter agonising. They need the ball back, but they can't afford to give a penalty away. Ben Chapman happy to hold it at the back until Jones sets the ball free. Dunford to the boot. That big dead ball area testing all once again. But not big enough. Well, what's the call here? What's the call here? Got an injured Cardiff player, and the clock in both our screen and in the stadium has gone through time. It's all down to the wristwatch of one man in green in the middle.
A really good decision that from Ed Dunford as well, just to put boot to ball. I know Cardiff didn't manage to get over the line, but it puts the pressure on Exeter. Let's see what the decision is from the referee. Should be a 22 dropout.
The scrum back.
Oh, it should be a scrum back. It should. It's gone dead. And Exeter then will have a final opportunity, but he's given it as a 22 dropout.
I'm going to give you a stay of execution on the player of the match because the focus, quite rightly, is here on the field. Long goes the kick, big is the tackle. Exeter hunting in a pack. And they will get one last throw of the dice. One last throw of the line out. Scott Butterworth, the replacement hooker, try last week against Beckett. Made his debut here at Sandy Park in BSR. Big throw, finds his man. The atmosphere ramps up as the pressure does to Leatherbarrow. Just a one-man Exeter heartbeat. Exeter, such a long way to go. Good pick up from Hill. It's hard in the mouth stuff. If you're red, it's hard in the mouth stuff. If you're green and white.
And a penalty advantage coming as well for Exeter. How crucial could that be? I thought I saw the referee's arm go out there.
Beckinsale goes high, would have been a good kick in under any other circumstances, but he knew he had the penalty.
Looking at it, I think that might be ever so slightly out of both Josh Barton and Will Beckinsale's range. I've given up working out what minute we're in now. Our clock says 80, the stadium clock says 83. There's a decision going on the field. I think that is out of Josh Barton's range, and he agrees he's going to touch.
Well, the tee hasn't been Exeter's friend this evening, and Barton will know that's a streaky one that he's gotten away with, but they all count so long as they make their way across the chalk. Just into the door jam of the 22. And composure, accuracy, cool heads required by Exeter, but the throw isn't the one they were looking for. Long and Cardiff in possession. There must still be time to play because the men in red haven't found touch on what will be a famous victory for the Welshmen. Up to the dark Sandy Park skies they go again. One last chance. We seem to keep saying that for Exeter. One more throw of the dice for the men in hoops. Cardiff, they've been so valiant in defence, hungry with all their hits. Can they find the contact once again? Well, that's the tackle they needed on Josh Barton. Is that the final tackle, the final act? No, there's more meat on the bone. Dunford continues to marshal his troops as Exeter fight to win possession back. You take the wingers out of the equation, every single Cardiff player is nestled in tight, but they go to the width, and are they going to finish with another try? They've taken the risk, and Exeter have turned it over. Still they live, the Green Machine.
It's the game that just won't end. I've got no idea what minute we're at. I've got no idea what's going on in terms of the clock. That's some carry from Luke Brailsford, but Exeter still somehow in this game with opportunities if they can hold on to the ball.
This Cardiff defence has been mighty all night. Tom Capel in there and spoiled and stolen. As you said, the game that just will not end. The touchline is packed with every single member of staff, bench. Referee glances his watch. Dunford retreats. Is that the signal for the men in red to record the most famous of victories in their BUCS Super Rugby history? The men from the diff have come and done what no Cardiff side have ever done in competitive action. Cardiff Blues haven't done it, Cardiff Met haven't done it, but Cardiff Uni have come to Sandy Park and they've taken the Exeter scalp. Full time here in a BSR epic. It is Exeter University 25, Cardiff University 27.
A hugely impressive performance from Cardiff. A brilliant game of BUCS Super Rugby. You pressed me, well, feels like 20 minutes ago for a player of the match. And for me, I think there was a number of standouts in that Cardiff side, but it's the centre, Luke Pollock. Unbelievable in defence, scored a crucial try for his side, ultimately the game-defining try as well. And I think an all-around fantastic performance from their centre today. Ed Dunford had a fantastic game at fly half for Cardiff as well. They're packed it brilliantly. A number of Exeter players really stood out. Kofi Barton Byfield again, Josh Barton at fly half, Todd Mule in at loose head, but Luke Pollock a really key cog in that Cardiff machine this evening.
So, man of the match, Cardiff captain Luke Pollock, a man from Belfast, a man formerly of the Ulster Academy, let go after the first year. Here he is in BSR on the big stage, making his mark. Any clubs out there watching, that guy ain't snapped up yet. But what a shop window for each and every player that we've seen out here today.
An unbelievable shop window. I am going to give Austin Healy a little shout out here. I saw him at the Exeter campus today. I think he was watching his daughter playing some hockey. But yeah, this is university rugby at its best. Like you said, Byrnesy, an unbelievable shop window, whether that's playing in the Premiership, the Championship, going over to France, Italy, or the likes of Chris Moore going over to Ireland or Scotland. And you look at Wales as well, how many of these players for Cardiff, not just Cardiff, but Cardiff Met, Swansea, are really putting themselves up and really showing what they can do.
"23 dejected men in hoops," not to mention all that go behind the scenes and all that put their efforts into huge marquee events like this, all with the will to deliver to the student body who roared them on all night. But look, conversely, look at that. Red and black hopping up and down, and quite right they should. Cardiff University have come and they have made a statement victory here at Sandy Park.
100%, and I think it's worth noting the last team to win at Sandy Park was Durham back at the end of the 2018-2019 season. We saw what happened with that Durham side going forwards, and with the way that this Cardiff side have started this season, the way they finished the last one, the scalps they're starting to take, could Cardiff be on the verge of starting to build their own title charge in a similar way that Durham did, feeding off of those big results?
Well, this is how it unfolded. It was one of those games that just twisted and turned and took you up and down like a game of snakes and ladders. It was all about the Exeter attack in the first half, pounding the Cardiff line. They kept in touch through the boot of Ed Dunford, who opened the scoring, before the totemic Ollie Leather-Barrow, the driving heartbeat of this Exeter side, got across for the try. Dunford kept them in touch with another one from the boots. But Exeter, you know, they did look good and they did hammer away at the line, but the going was so tough for them. But they finally got themselves a second try here.
They finally did, and we talked about it at half-time. Brilliant play from Tom Cairns, great support from Will de Bomber. And at this point, it looked like Exeter had the nudge. A penalty try, though, right at the end of the first half, after a brilliant bit of defensive work from Max Cortis had originally held up the Cardiff side. And this was the critical moment, that broken, expansive, open field play from Cardiff, freeing themselves up. Leather-Barrow trying for all his worth to stop that effort there, but then some brilliant handling, some brilliant quick recycling of the ball, allowing James Roberts in the end to cruise over. The University of Exeter players going over to speak to the fans after the game, to applaud them for their support this evening. That was some finish from Kofi Barton-Byford. You could see one of the supporters absolutely delirious there in the corner. You thought at that moment Exeter had it, but this was the crucial moment. The interception from Ben Chapman, the quick thinking again from Cardiff, and with that space out wide, exploiting those opportunities, feeding Luke Pollock to go over for what turned out to be the game-winning try, and the presence of mind to get himself under the post as well, to make what ended up being the crucial conversion all the easier for Ed Dunford.
A captain's performance from Luke Pollock, a captain's try, and a captain who was our man of the match, and he is down pitch side with Claire Thomas.
Fantastic, and as luck would have it, I found the player of the match. He's just about got his breath back after a huge shift in the midfield. Let's start with the obvious one. How on earth did you keep your heads with 4,000 baying men in chinos behind you?
Yeah, I don't know really. It's a team thing. We talked about all pre-season really, just controlling our emotions within the 15. We have like a few games like this, like the Cardiff clash and then our varsity at the end of the year. So yeah, a few of the boys are used to the crowd, and we just kept it within ourselves tonight, and yeah, managed to pull out the win, so yeah.
And is it all the sweeter beating Exeter for the first time on the road when you know you've also picked Met to having that scalp?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it feels good. This one's really special tonight. I think a lot of people are starting to appreciate what we're doing back in Cardiff now, and we're starting to get some recognition for it, which is really nice. And yeah, like I said, we're just a really tight group, and yeah, we're just buzzing with this win, to be honest.
You're sitting pretty, top of the table. Are you starting to feel comfortable up there? I know that top 4 was the aim at the start of the season, but you look very to the manner born when it comes to sitting on top of that thing. Yeah,
I mean, we're getting comfy up there for sure. We know everyone's after us now. And like, you're never safe in this league. So if you have a bad game, you lose games, like we found out last week. So yeah, we're getting comfier there, but we're never going to get too comfortable. We'll always have to bring our best game.
Chat about your score. You worked really hard to use that massive in-goal area to your advantage to make that conversion nice and easy. Is that just years and years of muscle memory, or were you really aware of how tricky the kicking conditions were today?
Yeah, I think it's just...
He's back in studio.
Sorry about that. I think it's just... years of playing, I had Rids outside me just screaming post. So yeah, that's all I was really thinking, to get the extra 2, make it a bit easier for Ed. But yeah, I think maybe muscle memory as well, yeah.
We'll never apologise for celebrating a victory as exciting and as important as that. Congratulations, you're our player of the match and it's thoroughly deserved.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Head back up to Byrnesy and get his thoughts with Harry. Oh, he's staying with me, fantastic. Alan, come on in. Luke, thank you for your time, congratulations again. Two very, very happy men heading back over the Welsh border tonight, and you told me before this match that you weren't used to sitting at the top of the BUCS Super Rugby table, but you're really getting quite a firm grip on that #1 spot.
It's early to get ahead of the session. All I can say, first and foremost, what a great game. You know, Exeter came out in normal selves, gave a heck of a game. We had to dig deep just to hold in there, to be honest. We were fighting at times, but I think it just shows a bit of resolve and resilience we've got this year. We know how to dig deep and scratch up some wins.
It's points that win prizes, but defence that wins championships. Your midfield defence in particular and your try-line defence was rock solid today. How much of that is heart and how much of that is drilling and training?
Heart. It's all heart. You know, you can teach people how to tackle, but you've got to want to do it, and you've got to want to get off the floor and make that next tackle, and you can't coach that tomorrow. And that's where we're lucky we've got that with these boys this year. They want to do it for the club.
And I'm out of curiosity, if you could put a figure on it, how much is Ed Dunford's right foot worth to you right now?
Well, I haven't got that much money, so but let's just hope it stays in good form and he can have the golden boot.
Many congratulations, fantastic performance today. Go and enjoy the result with your team. Thank you very much, Alan. Well, Kermit was wrong, it transpires. It's not easy being green. That was a tough day out there for Exeter, and they come unstuck at the hands of a Welsh side for the first time in their own backyard. BUCS Super Rugby delivers time and time again, an absolute thriller. Thank you, Joe, for your company. Thank you, Harry, for your insight. Thank you to Cardiff and to Exeter for a spectacle before 4,000 fans absolutely enwrapped with the drama they put out there on the Sandy Park pitch tonight. We'll be back next week with a double header from Kingsholm, so mark your cards. We've got BUCS Super Rugby and we have got Women's National League. Hartpury hosting Cardiff, Met, not to be missed. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening.